Now then, we're delighted to welcome Andy Friend, Connacht coach, to the show once again. Andy, afternoon, evening?
Yeah, good afternoon, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks so much for joining us. We spoke to you at the start of your tenure, at the start of the season. I remember it was a really good conversation. It's fair to say things have gone pretty well. You must be fairly happy.
Delighted that those men have agreed to stay on. When I first got here, I basically said to them, listen, in your respective areas, tell me what it is you want to do. And if it makes sense to me, I'll back you with it. And they all told me what they wanted to do, and it made good sense to me. And so I have backed them with it, and they've been outstanding. I think our set piece with Jimmy has proven to be one of the best in the competition. Our attack is dangerous. You saw some of the tries you may have seen some of the tries we scored on the weekend, some of our strikes, and I don't think we've actually attacked at our best yet.
Right.
And defence, I think the system Pete's got in place is a brilliant system. And to me, defence is all about attitude, and we're seeing our blokes bouncing off the ground and making a lot of tackles and doing really well there. So all three of them, mate, I'm really, really pleased with them. Absolutely delighted that they're going to stay on board. It's
a real pity the Challenge Cup isn't on television this year. It just seems to have fallen between the cracks in the changeover in the television deals. But certainly the third try in Bordeaux has been doing the rounds on social media, and maybe that exemplifies everything you're talking about. Murray Kinsella had a piece in the 42 today, and regarding Jimmy Duffy's work, he was saying that Connacht have a 93% line-out success, which is the highest in the Pro 14, and 3 of the 5 tries against Bordeaux all came from a line-out, and that was the case with the third try. And then we saw the strike moves you're talking about, Nigel Carolan behind them. So I presume as a head coach, you're sitting up there in the coaching box looking at the two lads, giving them a nod, saying, okay, I like that.
Yeah, but I am. And honestly, it's like that. You sort of, you sit up there and you watch through the week, the work that goes into it, the detail that goes into the planning of it, the meetings that have had between coaches and players, and the clarity that's there for the players. And so what we're seeing at the moment, I believe, is all of that hard work that goes on through the week. Players are entering the game of rugby with full understanding of what their roles and expectations are. They've trained it through the week, and now they're just delivering. So it's really, really pleasing to work in an environment like that. To me, clarity is everything, and we're certainly getting that from our coaches.
You've been around the game a long time. You've been around the game in different countries. I think you played fullback in your day when you were a player. You wouldn't be the first or last back player to sit in here, and we've had world-renowned back players to sit in here and say they have very little idea what goes on amongst the forwards with the line out or with the scrum. As a coach, are you allowed to say that? I mean, if the scrum is going badly wrong or if the line out's malfunctioning, and I appreciate it hasn't very often this season, are you pretty much looking to Jimmy Duffy and saying, well, don't look at me, I don't really know how to fix that? Or do you have a good knowledge in those areas?
Oh, listen, I've got an understanding, but it was very early on in the piece. I said to the players, listen, I never put my head in a scrum and I never jumped the line out, so I don't believe I'm qualified enough to be able to talk to you about those things at the level of detail you will. As you say, I've been around the game for a while, so I can look at a scrum and I know who's dominating, whether it's a loose head or a tight head, or which pack's going forward, the obvious stuff. But no, I'll 100% rest on Jimmy and the players. We actually involve the players a lot here in getting their feedback on what it is that's working, what's not working. I will say I've never worked in a team where I'm more impressed with the detail that goes into some of our line-out stuff and the movement within our line-out. I just think it's outstanding. So, but no, that's all Jimmy's doing and the players doing. And if I was a forward, I'd hate an ex-fullback to come in and tell me what was going on.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's so different to so many sports. Like a football coach is generally across all areas of the pitch. It's a simpler game in some ways, or certainly the skill set is not so different across a football pitch, whereas you have to come in and delegate and trust and find the right people. And for any rugby, for any coaching career in rugby, a huge amount of their success, and it genuinely is reliant on the people they have around them. I mean, it really isn't just paying lip service. Like if your scrum malfunctions, then Connacht are in big trouble, and you have very little control over that. Your trust as a coach and your future as a coach really is in those people.
Yeah, it is. No, it is, and it's it's a big responsibility for those coaches. And as you say, there's a lot of trust that goes into that. But to me, the thing that's impressed me with all of those three gentlemen there. It's their work ethic. They work their backsides off in getting the detail right. Their delivery of message is very, very good. And for me, there's a really good connection there with the players where there's good buy-in from the players. The players do have some input into it. So my job there is really just to try and keep those relationships bubbling along. I had little bits here and there with different experiences that I've had. Whether it's defence or attack, not necessarily forward play, but ball carrying, contact. I'll have some input there, but I think the positive rugby that you're seeing there at the moment is largely responsible, or the responsibility falls on the coaches and then the players. So good spot.
Yeah, no, it's been really enjoyable to watch from afar. The inter-pro games over Christmas were all on television. I mean, I don't know if you can feel good about losing 2 games, but they were really brilliant games to watch, and people got a real sense of what Connacht are about this year. And the Irish squad then. So 6 players in the Irish squad. We know about Ultan Delan and Bundyaki, and now Quinn Rue has been called up given the injury situation. There's an uncapped trio. So Caelan Blade, Jack Carty and Tom Farrell. Maybe just give us your thoughts on Farrell and Blade and Carty. Farrell certainly against Munster, and I'm reliably told this guy has been putting in brilliant performances consistently across a reasonable period of time now. But against Munster, there was probably a sense where a lot of people sat up and took notice of him in a big way. So Tom Farrell is in the squad, and he's been doing really well, it seems.
Yeah, Tom's been a player that's really impressed me. We started him this year in the 13 position outside of Bundy. When we went to South Africa, we moved him into the 12 position. Because Kyle Godwin came in and played 13, so he's equally capable in both 12 and 13. He's actually a big, powerful man, and he has an uncanny ability to find a hole and then get a offload away. So really impressed with him, and his defensive work too in the 13 channel has been very good this year. And actually, of late, the last couple of games, he's managed to introduce a bit of a kicking game too. So yeah, there's a lot to his game, mate, and a lot to like about him. And I wasn't surprised at all when I heard he got the call up.
Yeah, it's not good news, I'm sure, when you get the phone call that Kieran Marmion has done his ankle in November and you'll be without him for several weeks. So I mean, like Caelan Blade, sometimes you need a bit of luck in life and you need a shot and you need a chance. And he's got that with Connacht, and now he's got that at international level. And suddenly I'd say he's looking around in the Algarve right now and pinching himself a little bit. Well,
I think at the start of the year people would probably say that about him. But the way he's played this year and the way he's just stepped up to the plate, for mine, has been just phenomenal. Like, we haven't really used a lot of Marmo this year. He had the injury early on, and then he was away with Ireland. So Blady's virtually been our number one halfback all year. Yes, we did use Marmo when he first came back in, but I can tell you now, mate, we haven't missed a beat there. And again, Blady's call up there to the Irish squad, to me, was very much deserved. And I think if he does get a chance, and who knows what's going to happen there, but if he does get a chance, he certainly won't let his country down.
Yeah, and Jack Carty's just been a joy to watch, really. I mean, Ross Byrne, I'm sure, is getting kind of, would love to be there and has played very well, but Jack Carty has really been exceptional.
Yeah, Jack's, again, I hear a lot of stories around, Jack's previous performances. I haven't seen any of those. The only Jack Carty that I've seen is a highly talented and skillful young man who backs himself. We back him to play, but he backs himself to play. He's got a great kicking game. His goal kicking accuracy is very, very good. He takes the ball at the line well, and he plays smart options. And if you leave him alone, he'll dance through the line himself. His tackle entry work has been really good of late, and he's really, really starting to work on that part of his game. There's a lot to like about his game, and again, I wasn't surprised at all when I saw that.
What's your relationship then with Joe Schmidt and David Nucifora? Do you talk to them on a weekly basis, more than that, less than that?
It just depends upon the time of the year, to be honest with you. Around this time of the year, when there's a lot of selection stuff going on, it'll be weekly, more so with Joe. As we know, Joe's an astute watcher of the game. He watches every game of football and has a view on it. We'll often have a decent chat on the Sunday. He'll give me a call, or I'll give him a call, just talking about things that have happened during the course of the game. So a lot of conversations with Joe, which I think is really healthy. I think in order for the national coach or for the national team to be at their best, there needs to be a relationship with the national coach and the four provincial coaches. So certainly from a Connacht point of view, I'm really comfortable with that and do enjoy his input as well.
Yeah.
With David, we don't have as many chats, but I do know David from previous, and I find him again a really knowledgeable man around the game of rugby, and I think some of the work he's been doing here in Ireland is being rewarded in the way the provinces are going now and the way Ireland's going now.
Yeah, well, I mean, things like Joey Carberry, certainly we've had to get used to them, but I think a decision like that has been vindicated of late. With Schmidt, would you pick his brain and say, well, where could we get better? You know, if you were to play against us, what would you do? And like, would he give that advice? Would you try and pick his brain in that respect, or do you try and draw a line on that stuff?
It's not that I wouldn't. We haven't done that, but right. It's not that it's not through not wanting to know at all. We just tend to, again, when we're talking, it tends to be, and they tend to be 30-minute, 40-minute conversations anyway. Right. And I know he's a busy man, so we're talking about players and we're talking about things that have happened in games. Every now and then, we'll break into a conversation about this happened there and what do you think about that. But it tends more to be around our players and what his thoughts are on the players and things that he'd be looking for out of the playing group.
Mm. How, with regard to the player welfare management, I'm sure like you'd love to play Bundyaki in every game. Obviously, why wouldn't you? So how much control do you have in that regard? Like, do you get a phone call sometimes and the word is, well, look, we just need player X and Y to sit out the next week or two, and in an ideal world, you would like to play them? Or how much freedom do you have in that respect, Andy?
Again, there's an understanding there that the player welfare, as we know, is really important, and there's no point trying to run a player into the ground. So I actually wouldn't want to play a Bundyaki every game because you're not going to get the best performance out of him. So the IFU and through Joe will come to us and say, we have a concern around this player. One game out of the next four, if you're a chance to rest him, that would be great.
Right.
Where we can, we'll look to manage that. There's been circumstances though where it's just we actually can't, mate. We're in a pickle there because we haven't got the numbers ourselves. So it may be I'm going to have to play him, but I promise you I'll give him a rest.
Okay.
Within the next week or the following week. So
it is it is conversational as opposed to
very much so.
Here's the edict.
And it's very fluid, and it's very fluid, and I get it too. I think at the end of the day, the national cause is the most important thing. We want. I think we all want Ireland to be winning Six Nations and World Cups. So where we can manage the players collectively, I think that's in everybody's interest.
As for your own experience, finally in Galway, are you living in the city? Are you living nearby, or how have you settled in?
Yeah, living in Knocknacarra, so not too far from the Sportsground. I ride my bike in every morning and home every night, so it's only about 5 or 6k. But we're loving it up there, mate. The Galway's been really good to us. My wife's enjoying it here. We've just had our 2 boys over here for Christmas. Actually, the youngest one just left today. He's flying back to Canberra today. So, it's been very welcoming, and we're enjoying our time here.
Great. What age is the youngest as he flies back to Canberra?
He's 22.
22, okay. Is that a tough day in the friend house, having to say goodbye?
I'll say yes, because it always is, but we've done it so many times, mate. So we've been on this journey now for 23 years, and we've lived in 18 different homes. We've had the boys away from us for a lot of years. They're in boarding school for a bit, and we've been in Japan and different places without them. You love seeing them, but they're their own men now, and I suppose the way the world is at the moment with the various types of communication, we can Skype video them or WhatsApp them, and you normally it's never the same as being together, but so there's always a touch of sadness when they leave, but you know that they're heading back to family and friends and their own work and studies, and you got to let them live their own life. So you'd love to have them around all the time, though, certainly.
I'm kind of fascinated by the nomadic existence, because I basically grew up in the county next door to Dublin, and I've moved to Dublin now, and that's basically where I've lived my life, and there's maybe the grass is always greener, but the thought of 18 different countries sounds very appealing to me in some ways, give us an insight into that. Like, for instance, how comfortable do you allow yourself get? I remember Pat Lamb before he talked about how upset his family were to leave Galway. I mean, Do you bring your favourite armchair? Do you bring your sentimental bits and bobs? Do you try and make it as much a home as possible, or do you operate very much on the understanding that, well, let's not get too comfortable?
No, we never operate on that. It's 18 different houses, not country. So I think, okay. I've been working on, tend to work a 3-year contract, mate. So but everywhere we go, we honestly, we move there as a family, because our home is our home there. We actually do have our own home back in Canberra now, which our 2 boys are about to go on, or one lives in it now, the other one's going to move back to it. But, that's our home when we're there in Australia, but this is our home when we're here in Galway, and I think that's really important. I don't think you can't have a footing in one house here but hoping that wishing you were somewhere else. So, no, when we move, it's sort of boots and all, you move into it. But, yeah, we are pretty good at, and I'm probably better than my wife, I will say, but sort of picking up and moving to the next spot, and that's just the nature of the business we're in. The good side of that is we've got friends all around the world, and a lot of acquaintances and people that when we get the chance to drop into a country we've previously lived in or a suburb we've previously lived in, there's always good people to meet and to catch up with. And but it's just our existence. We don't. The other positive thing, we don't have a lot of clutter, and
no,
we tend to.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, we tend to listen. Like everyone, you probably accumulate a few things, but if you're moving every 3 years, you tend to get rid of that, and it's the bare basics.
Do you find people are pretty much the same the world over?
Oh, there's in every country, every culture has its uniqueness about it. But yeah, I think everywhere you go, you're going to find good people, and I think most people in the world are good people. We're born with a smile on our face, and I think we're born with happiness, and it's people only find sadness and anger and bitterness as they go through life. But that's for them. If they want to pick that stuff up, they can do. So I suppose you get all types, but listen, wherever we go, we tend to try and surround ourselves with positive people. And I will say it's pretty easy here in Galway. We've got to people enjoy the things we enjoy doing. They enjoy their own time. They enjoy a bit of social life, and they like each other's company. And they're the things that we've always lived by, and therefore it's been a really enjoyable visit for us, or stay for us at this point in time.
There's a text in from Roger. He says, I know Andy's no stranger to clocking up the hours in the bike saddle, and we talked to you about that the last time you were on the air here, and Roger says he could do worse than cycle the Wild Atlantic Way if he's looking for a way to decompress. Have you been out and about the Wild Atlantic Way at all, or are you probably too busy?
I've been too busy, but you know what? We got this break coming up. I was just saying to someone the other day, they said, what are you going to do? I said, well, my wife's now working, but on the Monday in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to jump on the bike and I'm going to head somewhere, and probably down the Wild Atlantic Way, to be honest with you. Yeah. And just go for 2 or 3 days. And
oh, nice.
Where I stop, I don't know yet. Probably a little B&B somewhere, and then get up and go again the next day. So it's the way I do decompress, to be honest. And I love it, and it's something that I really, when I do have time, and that's one of the things I love about just riding into and from work. It's it's just 20 minutes on the bike where you're not thinking too much, and you sort of let the brain unwind, and you go again for the next one. And
is that phone off? No headphones in?
Yeah, never ride with headphones in. Too dangerous, mate. And I don't have the phone on. It's actually very pleasant not to be guided by that thing your whole life. So, and when I get home, I tend to turn the thing off. I'll turn it off at a certain time, normally about 7:30 at night. That thing goes off, and just have your own time from then.
Well, I wish I had your discipline. There are too many evenings where I'm sitting there in bed on the bloody thing. There's one last point in, somebody watching on YouTube. Very impressed with Andy Friend. The players seem to have responded to his influence. Player skills seem to have improved as well. He wonders what's this down to. What is, finally, Andy, if you were to kind of boil down your key messages or your key habits that you've tried to get across at the club over the last couple of months, what would they be?
I think the main one is we focus on positives. Like, everyone's good at something, and too many times I think as a coach, as a teacher, as a parent, it's very easy to focus on what someone's not doing well. And if all you hound them on is the things that they're not doing well, their own self-esteem and their own self-worth and value, can drop. So, right from the first day I got here, it was my questions to the staff, my questions to the players was, what are you good at? And what do you think you'd be world class at? And let's focus on that then. Let's really work hard. Now, we're not going to shy away from the things you can't do, but rather than focus on those things, let's focus on what you're good at and make you better at that. And then we'll pick one thing that we think we can work on, that we think will make you a better coach, nutritionist, footballer, whatever it is, and we'll try and work on that with you. So to me, it's all about giving people confidence and just adjusting the way they think. If you think you're good at something, you'll tend to be good. If you think you're bad at something, you'll tend to be bad. So I actually think it's as simple as that, but I'm not sure how many people do that.
Listen, interesting. Just like the last time, real pleasure talking to you. Things are going very well. Delighted to see it. I think everybody across Ireland has a real soft spot for Connacht and wants to see them do well. So keep it going. Best of luck over the next couple of weeks and enjoy that cycle in the next 2 weeks as well.
Good on you, Joe. Appreciate that.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Good man.